Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It has been a while, but I am here. My name is Tana. This is BoardroomtoBounceHouse, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about my pregnancy, give you an update, and also talk about switching doctors in the third trimester, which might seem a little odd to you, but I'll tell you why and what you can look for if you might be considering the same thing. So I am 31 weeks pregnant now. I switched doctors a couple weeks ago, and I'll get into that in a little bit, but I just wanted to give a brief update on my pregnancy because it has been quite a while since I updated you all and put out a video. The last video I had come out was actually the video where I announced that I was pregnant, and you may have been wondering where the heck did I go or what is going on. And really, I had intentions of making videos every single week during my pregnancy and kind of taking you along on the journey. This is my third pregnancy, but unfortunately, just due to work, changing jobs, and having two toddlers, things got a little crazy this summer and I wasn't able to keep up with YouTube. I don't do YouTube for monetary reasons. I don't do it really for, a business venture. I do it more because I enjoy it and it's a fun project. So from time to time, I do have to put YouTube aside. And I think a lot of people just don't understand how long it takes to make each YouTube video and like how much we as YouTube creators invest in just doing everything from research to get our video found, to analytics, to editing, filming, all those good things. So for all those reasons and more, I had to kind of put things aside, but the pregnancy has been going really well. I have had basically a classic non-eventful pregnancy, which is how you want your pregnancy to go. My first pregnancy was super high risk. I had something called vasa previa. If you haven't seen my previous videos on that, I will link them above in the cards and also below in the description. But basically, I had a high risk pregnancy with my first son, and I was in the hospital for over a month, basically at the end, and it resulted in a C-section to save his life. So that was very stressful, and vasa previa is something that your doctor should look for at 20 weeks when you have your 20-week ultrasound and anatomy scan. So I'm very happy to report that I do not have it in this pregnancy. I also did not have it with my last son, my second child, and it's pretty rare. It happens like 1 in 2,500 pregnancies. So having it twice in my life would be super, super rare. So, but no doubt you always still have a little bit of anxiety when you've had it before. You just want to get to that 20-week scan and know that everything is okay. So very happy to report that. Since 20 weeks, things have been pretty normal. Did my gestational diabetes test, passed that. Oh my God, it was so disgusting. I'll insert a picture of my face when I had to drink that. I looked for alternatives, but really couldn't find anything that my doctors would approve of. So unfortunately did have to end up drinking that disgusting toxic drink in order to determine that I don't have gestational diabetes. So that's good. But I have decided to switch doctors, and I'll talk about why. So because of the high risk pregnancy with my first son, I had a C-section, and I really wanted to make sure I had a vaginal birth, or a VBAC, a vaginal birth after cesarean with my second son, which I was successful in doing. Again, I'll link those videos above and below. But I've since moved. So I have a new OBGYN, new doctor, and it's not that I was necessarily worried that they weren't going to be supportive of the VBAC. I mean, they were articulating to me that they were supportive and that I was a very good candidate since I have had a successful VBAC previously. But it's a big practice. I kind of joined this practice when I moved simply because they could accept me as a new patient. In the post-pandemic world, a lot of doctors have really long wait lists. It's been, hard I had to wait six months to even get an appointment at the dentist when I moved. So you can imagine that when I found a doctor that would accept me, I jumped on it and I went there. And that was previous to really knowing that I was, pregnant or anything like that, because we were still trying at that point. It's a big practice. They have between, I think, 12 and 14 doctors, plus an additional midwife and a couple nurse practitioners. So you really never know who you're going to see. My main doctor that I was assigned to was out on maternity leave pretty quickly after I found out that I was pregnant. So I did see a couple of different providers at each appointment. I would see someone new. And I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I think it's important to kind of get to know the different providers, because when you're in a giant practice like that, you really have no idea who is going to be there for your delivery. And I actually don't think it's not super, super important, because you're the one delivering the baby, not the doctor, even though they want to say, oh, so-and-so delivered my baby. No, you delivered your baby. But I also felt like between the combination of that and just having like too many cooks in the kitchen with a specialized case like mine, and then also the hospital that they were affiliated with, I was reading a lot of like, unfortunately, bad reviews about it. They used to be like the hospital of choice in the area. It's actually where my brother was born. My aunt used to work there. Like, it's a great hospital, but in recent years it's changed a lot, particularly in labor and delivery. And again, post-pandemic world, I think, has also changed things because they're understaffed, can't find nurses, etc. And just knowing how much of a struggle I had at the last hospital I gave birth at with the nursing staff, particularly for the VBAC, I know I need a really supportive hospital. For me, that's more important than having a supportive doctor, because at the end of the day, like, the doctor is probably going to be there for 20 minutes max in a 12-hour period of you being in labor, or however long it ends up being. And the nurses are the ones that are really going to be there, kind of pushing you, advocating for you, you know, trying to get you to do things maybe that you don't want to do. So, you know, informed consent, super important, but also, again, having a supportive staff that you're working with. And I really just didn't feel like that was going to be the case with this particular hospital that I was supposed to deliver at. And because I'm a VBAC patient, and honestly, I would recommend it to anyone. I have a whole video on it, so if you want to see that, I'll also link it above. But hiring a doula was something that was really important to me. I did it with my last birth. I would absolutely recommend it, especially if you're trying to have a medication-free birth, which is what I'm going for. Again, that's how I did my last birth, and that's how I'd like this one to go as well. So I looked for a doula in the area. Again, I moved, had to find a new doula, couldn't use my doula from last time. Found an awesome doula and kind of expressed some of my concerns that I was having to my doula. I also joined ICAN, which is like a group of cesarean awareness network folks who everyone in the group has, either been a doula or is a midwife or has gone through a C-section themselves. And it's kind of an opportunity to have like group therapy, talk about it, also talk about what you want in the future. And between talking to my doula and going to those meetings and talking to other doulas, it kind of validated some of the concerns I was having about the practice and the hospital. And so that's the main reason why I decided to switch doctors. I had too many red flags that in my gut, I just felt like something was off, and I didn't want to put myself in a position where I was advocating so much for myself during birth that it would become stressful and like not enjoyable. And I get it. Birth it can be painful, but it can also be a beautiful experience. And there's no reason that you need to conform to the Western medication or the Western medicine standards that we have in the US, because frankly, they're quite poor compared to a lot of other places around the world where people just have, more freedom of choice, and they're kind of, the doctors are less focused on interventions and kind of making things convenient for them or controlling the process, and more respectful of the birth experience itself. My doula has actually given birth at home 3 times. She had 1 hospital birth and then 3 home births. I would consider a home birth if I wasn't a VBAC patient, but I just feel like that's a little bit too risky for me personally. So finding the right combination of all those things was really important. And I did decide to switch pretty early on in my pregnancy, even really before 20 weeks. But unfortunately, just due to staffing shortages and, offices not really being able to accept new patients, I couldn't get in to this new doctor until my last trimester. So going there today, I'm technically 31 weeks. This will be my 3rd appointment with them. And, the appointments have been pretty basic so far. I've never really had like an ultrasound with them or anything because I'm in my 3rd trimester. But, height, weight, fundal height, all those types of things, just to make sure the baby's growing correctly. So far so good. My first appointment was with a midwife, and they have a midwife and 2 doctors on their staff. They also have a nurse practitioner, but it's a really small practice compared to the one I'm coming from. It's still bigger for me than from where I came from when I had my other 2 sons in DC, because he was a sole practitioner. So it's kind of that happy medium, and it puts me at a hospital where hopefully I will be more supported, because I've read a lot of amazing reviews about people having VBACs at this hospital. They've done them forever, not just in recent years, but really forever. They redid their whole birthing suite. So lots of different reasons why I decided to switch. So I just thought I would share that experience, because I know sometimes it can be stressful. If you found my video because you're having red flags or you're, thinking you might want to switch doctors during your pregnancy, definitely follow your gut. Like, listen to that. There's a reason that your intuition is telling you that maybe something isn't right or that you should consider other options. There's lots of amazing Facebook groups out there, particularly if you're shooting for a VBAC. There are great VBAC supportive Facebook groups. I can put a couple names of them in the comments below. Feel free to message me or leave a comment so that, I can give you more guidance on that. But there's definitely great ones out there, and those people too, they're all coming from experience. They all want people to really have the best birth possible. So I found that really helpful when I was preparing for my last VBAC, and just finding people to bounce ideas off of, people that could provide maybe other resources or support groups to look at, stuff like that. It's interesting with VBAC, like they have this formula that they use to calculate your chance of success. And, I think there's a lot of reasons that they do that, and some of it is probably very valid, but I think it can also put a lot of extra stress or pressure on people when they're shooting for that. So if your doctor tells you like, oh, you only have a 45% chance of a successful VBAC, I would ask them more questions like, why? What are the determining factors that you're putting into that calculation? Because it's a standard calculation that all the doctors use. And knowing kind of like the whys behind it may help you realize that it's really not about that 45% or whatever number they tell you. It's really more about kind of looking at the individual factors that make up that probability or percentage, because you can do it if you want. You can try. If nothing else, you can have TOLAC, trial of labor after cesarean. So anyway, gonna head into the doctor right now because I'm actually in the parking lot, and I had just a couple minutes. So I wanted to share that. I'll try to get this video up. I will try to be better about giving updates here at the end, and at some point I'll make a whole nother video on kind of like how I'm preparing for birth, packing my hospital bag, my birth plan, all those things. If those are things that you want to see, definitely leave me a comment down below. Don't forget to follow me over on Instagram. I have been a little bit better about keeping up over there, so follow me there for more, real-time updates. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.